With all the portable amp DACs in the market, you've got tons of choices. You could pay very little for great performance, or splurge and get yourself something as a statement piece. Truthear recently released another contender in the market. They call it the Shio. This product costs $70. Shenzhen Audio sent me the Shio to review. Shenzhen Audio is among a handful of online retailers that specializes in hi-fi gear and caters to all types of budgets. They've got some of the latest stuff along with the esoteric. Check them out if you have money to spend. Now, on to the Shio. Let's put it through its paces. Truthear says that they use two CS43198 DACs in this portable unit. This Cirrus Logic DAC is the very same you can find in the Astral & Kern SR15, SR25, and SR25 Mark II. The Shio caters to all PCM resolutions up to 32-bit at 768 kHz. You'll also get support of DSD up to 256. However, there is no support for MQA. The Shio has low and high gain modes that can be switched using the buttons. The maximum power output is 150 milliwatts at 32 ohms and 55 milliwatts at 300 ohms. Truthear makes no claims at all about this product's sonic performance. There's no flamboyant marketing regarding hearing nuanced details or wide soundstage or warm sound signature or any of the normal audiophile jargon. Their marketing page simply provides some measurements and concise highlights of the product. Very nice. The Shio is about the size of a USB stick. It is a bit thicker but can easily be mistaken for an office product instead of audiophile gear. The housing is made of aluminum but covered with real leather. The leather has tactile texture, but only time will tell if the adhesive is going to keep the leather on the metal. On the bottom of the device is a USB-C port. The side houses a volume rocker. Next to this is a singular LED. High gain will display as yellow, low gain as red. When DSD is playing, high gain shows as purple and low gain as blue. You can switch between gain modes by holding the volume up and down buttons at the same time. The volume buttons on the Shio adjust your computer or phone's audio levels. This device does not independently adjust gain. The top of the Shio contains the single-ended 3.5mm and the balanced 4.4mm audio jacks. Overall, the Shio is well made and simple to operate. It lacks any frills, though that's not a bad thing. Truthear decided not to bother with the useless DAC filters you'll find in many other DACs, and opted not to cater to the MQA crowd. This device is intended strictly to play back music that the vast majority of audiophiles are listening to. I tested the Shio in the same manner I test all DACs and amps. This meant I separated the process into several phases. In Phase 1, I used the Shio by itself as my go-to device. I paired it with my Windows laptop, Mac computer, my LG V30, and iPhone 14 Max. I listened to high-resolution, lossless audio through Amazon Music HD, watched content on Netflix and YouTube, and streamed lossy audio from Spotify. The idea behind this phase was to determine if the Shio had difficulty connecting to any of my devices and if it exhibited audible oddities. In Phase 2, I compared the Shio against the alternatives. This involved putting the Shio against the AudioQuest Dragonfly Cobalt, FIO BTR7 in, of course, its USB DAC mode, and the Low2 Paw S1. I plugged each device into my PC and Mac, then connected their single-ended output to my passive AB switch. On PC, I used Voicemeeter Banana to send signal to two DACs at once. On Mac, I created a multi-output device for the same result. In Phase 3, I used low and high impedance headphones to determine if the Shio struggled to drive any of them. Throughout these tests, I used the hifi T2, Campfire Audio Andromeda, 7Hz Timeless, Rode NTH100, Austrian Audio HiX65, Avatone Planar, audeze LCD2, and the Bitternamic T1 2nd Gen. I want to emphasize that there is nothing particularly difficult about doing these types of comparisons at home yourself. You should, and I encourage people to constantly test new gear. In fact, for the minimal startup cost of around $25, you can have a reliable A/B test setup. This is really the only way to distance yourself from the typical reviewer hype and the constant bickering among audiophiles. Now that we've gone over the testing process, let's get to the results. In Phase 1, I used the Shio as my primary source. I never encountered any connection issues. My computers immediately found the device, which showed up as Truthear DAC under the relevant output options. Throughout my time with the Shio, it never randomly disconnected, and none of my software had issues sending data to it. The headphone output is silent. Using even the super sensitive Andromedas, I could not hear any hiss or other oddities. This is a well-crafted headphone section and shows why THX implementation is completely unnecessary. It bears highlighting that there is no difference in sound quality or sound signature between the single-ended and balanced outputs. I noticed at least one review which heavily implied this was the case. Single-ended and balanced have no difference whatsoever in sound signature, not in any device. The only purpose of balanced output is, first, mitigation of distortion or noise, and second, higher power output. Let's move on to Phase 2. This is where I compared the Shio against the Cobalt, BTR7, and PAW S1. I did not use any filters or EQ on any of the devices. Volume matching is key. You can do this effectively with careful listening, especially if you use Voicemeeter's software gain adjustment or if your DACs have the ability to adjust volume themselves. Here, when doing proper A/B tests with the volume matched components, there is absolutely no difference at all. The Cobalt, BTR7, and S1 sounded exactly like the Shio. None of these DACs have more or less detail, soundstage, dynamics, depth, width, elasticity, flow, compression, chocolate, syrup, or any other odd and dysfunctional word salad audiophiles like to toss when talking about gear. All 4 DACs are transparent, without a lick of difference in bass, mids, or treble. Finally, let's discuss Phase 3, where I listened to various headphones of differing impedances and sensitivities. The bottom line is that the Shio will drive a lot of headphones. Most dynamic driver headphones will get plenty of power for peak performance. The NTH100, ZMF Icon, Focal Clear, HD6XX, and meze Classics all got quite loud without the Shio having to maintain the maximum volume. Planar magnetic headphones might be hit and miss depending on what you try. The Avantone Planar and LCD2 got plenty loud around 80% through the balanced output. But the Mathis Argon, no, not so much. Then there's super high impedance dynamic headphones like the Beyerdynamic T1. Here, you can get the headphones to near peak performance, but only through balanced output. Single-ended, even at maximum volume, can get the T1 to only comfortable loudness. Using my decibel meter, the single-ended got the T1 to about 55 decibels at maximum. Compare that to balanced output, which resulted in a maximum of about 92 decibels. A powerhouse the Shio is not, but frankly, if you absolutely need a powerful amp, then you already are looking at something very different. Overall, the Shio performed very well. Like many modern DAC amps, it has plug-and-play compatibility. It sounds transparent. It has plentiful power for most headphones. Once again, we have a very good, reliable, sturdy, and transparent DAC amp. The internet is littered with all colors and sizes of portable DACs that have the latest tech, and it can be daunting to look at all the options when you're in the market for something. On the one hand, the Shio only adds to your conundrum. Here we have another neutral, transparent DAC among many others. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the more expensive options, so in a way, it is in a crowded field of the basic DAC amps. If you're looking for MQA, Bluetooth, more power, EQ, and other goodies, then the Shio is definitely not the product for you. On the other hand, even though it is in a crowded field of basic DAC amps, the Shio does show a couple of things. First, for under $100, you can get excellent performance with a DAC that uber premium companies shoehorn into their gear. Second, you don't need, and frankly should not, spend hundreds of dollars on stuff that offers the same functionality when you can get it for as little as the Shio's price tag. Finally, the last thing that the Shio underscores for me is that the modern DAC amp landscape is really not changing. If you have a good product, you should save your money on gear that really makes a difference in your experience, such as headphones and IEMs. Ultimately, I think the Shio offers plenty for lots of people. As long as you're not an MQA user and don't have difficult-to-drive headphones, the Shio might be the perfect product for you.